May 3rd, 1999, Bridge Creek, Oklahoma.
Major damage here.
The funnel at ground level is now growing. It looks like it's a little bit wider than it was a while ago. Oh, this is one beautiful tornado.
6:49 in the evening. A tornado has been on the ground for 19 minutes and nobody standing in its path understands what is about to happen to them. Tornado emergency. This is a tornado emergency for the southern Oklahoma City metro area.
Tornado emergency for Moore. You folks in Moore, you need to grab whatever it is you need to grab and you need to go underground.
If you are in the path of this storm, you need to take cover immediately. This is not a drill. The National Weather Service had never used those two words together before. Tornado emergency. The designation did not exist in any official handbook. The forecasters on duty that evening invented it on the spot because the word warning no longer felt like enough. What is moving toward Moore, Oklahoma?
Do not recommend traveling down the Bailey Turnpike, and here's the reason why. This tornado may cross over or even parallel the Bailey Turnpike potentially for a long way.
On the evening of May 3rd is not a typical tornado. It will be on the ground for 85 minutes. It will travel 38 miles, and at its peak intensity, a mobile radar unit positioned southwest of Moore will record wind speeds of 318 miles per hour.
This thing is sucking us in at about 47, 50 miles an hour right now. We're holding a hover, but it's just pulling it right to us.
The fastest surface winds ever measured anywhere on Earth, not at a mountaintop weather station, not in the eye wall of a Category 5 hurricane. Over a subdivision in central Oklahoma on a Monday evening in May. The record has never been broken. To understand what happened on May 3rd, 1999,
You just go to your safe spot if you possibly can. That's an F. Look at the horizontal vortex. That is an F4 to an F5 tornado. That's winds of 250 miles an hour.
you have to look at the place the storm hit and why it was already so familiar with catastrophe. Moore, Oklahoma, sits directly south of Oklahoma City.
Outside Oklahoma City, amid all of the shock, all of the searching, all of the hope and pain.
Flat grid streets, ranch homes, strip malls, and schools built on open prairie with no natural barriers against the wind in any direction. Warm Gulf moisture pulls north every spring, while Arctic air pushes south from Canada. The two air masses colliding directly over central Oklahoma with a regularity that has no parallel anywhere else on Earth. The result is a narrow corridor of land running from northern Texas through central Oklahoma into southern Kansas, where violent tornado formation is not a rare event. It is a seasonal expectation. Moore sits at the geographic center of that corridor. Between 1998 and 2013, the city would be struck by violent tornadoes 4 separate times. The people of Moore knew what they lived with: tornado drills, storm shelters. What nobody knew, what no engineer or emergency manager had ever needed to calculate for a residential area, was what a 318-mile-per-hour
warning.
Oh my
The strongest tornado in history struck.
Major damage here.
This is just the worst scenario that could have happened. Look at it. It just looks like a steamroller came through here and just wiped everything out of its path.
wind actually does to a structure built to standard code. The Storm Prediction Center in Norman issues a rare, particularly dangerous situation: tornado watch before noon on May 3rd.
This year is looking particularly ugly. So far, 634 tornadoes have been reported by the National Weather Service, causing 91 deaths. On May 3rd, the worst yet, 48 killed in Oklahoma and Kansas by very powerful tornadoes.
This designation is reserved for days when the atmosphere is specifically capable of producing violent, long-track tornadoes. Atmospheric instability values across central Oklahoma exceed 4,000 joules per kilogram.
Less than a month after the tragic twisters, and already this storm system is the most examined and analyzed in history.
Among the highest ever recorded in the state, a jet stream is moving overhead at over 100 miles per hour. Surface dew points are near tropical for a state this far inland. Every ingredient is present, and every one of them is at the extreme end of the scale. By 4:47 in the afternoon, the first tornado
Gathering a lot of information, and Linda, it's been an awful afternoon again weather-wise. You have more.
The outbreak touches down near Chickasha. By the time the outbreak ends the following morning, 66 confirmed tornadoes will have touched down across Oklahoma.
Hundreds of homes and buildings have been obliterated. Frantic groups of rescuers could be seen digging through debris within minutes of the tornadoes passing by.
In Kansas, one of the largest single-day outbreaks in the history of either state, the Bridge Creek Moore tornado drops from a supercell thunderstorm at approximately 6:30 in the evening. The radar signature is unmistakable, a hook echo the size of a small county, a mesocyclone rotating with enough force that radar 60 miles away can see the circulation clearly. The tornado is already on the ground when the emergency declaration goes out. It is heading directly for Moore. At 6:58 in the evening, a mobile radar unit called a Doppler on wheels, operated by Dr. Josh Werman and a team from the National Severe Storms Laboratory, is positioned southwest of Moore, with a clear line of sight to the tornado. The DOW is one of only a handful of mobile radars capable of taking close-range wind measurements inside a tornado in real time. The data on their screen shows a number that stops the analysis cold: 318 miles per hour. Dr. Werman later describes the moment as one of immediate disbelief. They check the instrument calibration. They check the data processing chain. They rerun the numbers. The figure holds every time: 318 miles per hour, faster than the fastest wind ever recorded at the summit of Mount Washington in New Hampshire, faster than any surface wind measured in any hurricane in the Atlantic or Pacific Basin. At that velocity, a standard 2x4 piece of lumber becomes a projectile moving faster than a bullet from a handgun. A car becomes airborne in under a second. A wood frame house does not lose its roof first. The roof, the walls, and the foundation connections fail at essentially the same instant. This is not a theoretical calculation. It is what happens in the next 30 minutes across Moore. The tornado crosses into Bridge Creek first, a rural area of scattered farms southwest of Moore. What investigators find the following morning are foundation slabs, not damaged structures, bare concrete pads with nothing on them. The homes have been distributed across surrounding farmland in fragments.
This is absolutely incredible. Look at it come down. Oh. There it is! Wow, look how close. Look at that!
In Moore, a woman named Stephanie Dossett is at home with her 2 children when the warning is issued. She takes the children to the center bathroom, covers them with blankets and a mattress, and waits. The tornado passes directly over her street. When the noise stops and she pulls back the mattress, she is looking at open sky. Every wall around the bathroom is gone. The bathroom itself is standing. Her children are uninjured. She later describes the sound as something between a freight train and a jet engine, but louder than either, a sound with physical weight. She felt it in her chest before she heard it with her ears.
The stories of survival and rebuilding.
In a neighborhood on the south side of Moore, a 67-year-old man named Laverne Hooks is sheltering in his hallway when the tornado reaches his block. His brick house, built in the 1970s, is lifted from its foundation. Neighbors find him in the debris 20 minutes later, injured but alive. He tells the first person to reach him that he heard the walls separate from the floor before the roof came off. The whole house lifted as a single piece, he says, and then it was gone. 36 people are killed by the Bridge Creek Moore tornado. 3 of them die on Interstate 44 when the tornado crosses the highway and lifts their vehicle from the pavement. The total death toll across the full May 3rd outbreak reaches 51. More than 8,000 homes are destroyed or severely damaged. Estimated damage reaches $1.1 billion. The National Weather Service rates the Bridge Creek Moore tornado F5, the highest category on the Fujita scale. The 318 miles per hour reading is formally recognized as the highest surface wind speed ever recorded on Earth. Building code officials across tornado-prone states began asking a question that had not been seriously examined before. If a tornado can produce 318 mile per hour winds over a residential neighborhood, what does construction need to look like to give people inside a survivable chance? FEMA updates its safe room construction guidelines. Federal funding for residential storm shelters in Oklahoma becomes available for the first time. The tornado emergency designation, invented in real time on May 3rd, is formally adopted into National Weather Service warning protocol. The average tornado warning lead time in 1999 is 11 minutes. Within a decade, advances driven in part by May 3rd, data push that average above 13 minutes. 13 minutes is not a large number. In a tornado path, it is the difference between reaching shelter and not reaching it. Moore would be struck again in 2003. and in 2010, and in 2013, when an EF5 destroyed Plaza Towers Elementary School with children still inside. Each time, the city rebuilt.
More schools back in 2013 sparked demands then to put storm shelters in all Oklahoma schools.
Each time, more residents installed storm shelters. Each time, the community on the flattest and most exposed land in the most tornado-prone region on Earth looked at what surrounded it and stayed. The record set on the evening of May 3rd, 1999 has not been broken in 25 years. 318 miles per hour, measured at ground level in a neighborhood on an evening when nobody expected a record to be set. What May 3rd forced every engineer and emergency manager to confront is a truth that had existed long before that evening, but had never been so precisely documented. There is a threshold of wind speed beyond which no conventional structure is survivable. 318 miles per hour is above that threshold. The only way to survive a direct strike from a tornado at that intensity is to be below the ground or inside something specifically built to withstand it. Oklahoma now has more residential storm shelters per capita than any other state in the country. The record that started that process has never been equaled. The warning arrived, the record was set, and 36 people still did not make it home. I make these videos to tell stories that matter. Stories like this don't really end when the storm is over. They stay with the people who lived through them, and sometimes they slowly fade everywhere else. So if this story meant something to you, even for a moment, help it reach someone else. A like, a comment, even just sharing it might seem small, but it genuinely makes a difference because every bit of support pushes these stories further and keeps them from being forgotten. Stay safe. I'll see you in the next one.